news from across the Federation, spanning the region and covering the globe. This is the Kyssfm SKN News Now Evening Edition, your one true source for news. And now your presenter.
Good evening, I'm Kinney James. Today is Thursday, 1st March 2018. This is the SKN News Now Evening Edition. In the headlines tonight, nationally, a suspected double homicide has plunged a Keys family into mourning. Internationally, Egypt's army is using banned cluster bombs in Sinai. And in sport, debate is raging over the dangers of child boxing. We have the details of these stories, the weather, Carib update, all ahead in the SKN News Now Evening Edition. Nationally, a family is tonight mourning the loss of not one but two family members following what appears to be a double homicide. The victims, who are said to be sisters, were attacked and killed earlier today. Both are residents of Keys Village. One of the victims was a member of the St. Kitts and Nevis Defense Force. The attacker, male, is said to have been known to both victims. Police have not yet publicly commented on the latest incident. However, they are investigating the matter. Leader of the opposition, Right Honorable Dr. Denzil Douglas, is demanding that the government of St. Kitts and Nevis come forward with the truth and the precise details of the possible effects the recently passed amendments to the St. Christopher and Seaport Authority Act could have. On behalf of the people of St. Kitts and Nevis, Dr. Douglas stated that the government led by Prime Minister Dr. Timothy Harris owes the people the truth and should respond hastily to a number of questions.
How many cruise ships do we stand to lose due to this head tax increase? Can our now struggling economy take such a blow? What will we fall back on to offset this pending loss of thousands of dollars in revenue for our taxi and tour operators? How will NEWSCAST repay the St. Kitts Nevis and Anguilla National Bank's loan of $100 million? With which Dr. Harris's government has further burdened it? We have gone backwards, I say. We are no longer number one in anything.
He said the St. Christopher and Seaports Authority's reality is about to change for the worse in a way that is sure to negatively impact our tourism industry, adding that in order for the multi-million-dollar loan to be serviced, the head tax that is paid by cruise ships will have to be increased. Speaking specifically to the amendments to the NEWSCAST Act, the opposition leader continued that this disastrous piece of legislation, having been passed into law, has taken our country backward, as it has given express permission for yet another portion of our patrimony, our border entrances and exits, to be sold off. Dr. Douglas then suggested that he and Senator Nigel Carty were deliberately blocked from speaking in Parliament and revealing the government's plan.
Had we not been illegally blocked from contributing to the debate, the nation would have been better informed that Dr. Harris and his government had come to pass a bill that, in effect, would allow the government to sell off all the assets of NEWSCAST, our airport and seaport, two assets of high strategic importance, and there are only two of these on the island of St. Kitts. The St. Christopher Air and Seaports Authority's reality is about to change for the worse. NEWSCAST's debt has now increased by some $110 million, and its debt service rate has gone up to $14 million per month. $14 million per month.
Acting president of the Clarence Fitzroy Bryant College, Ione Liebert Willett, is being denied the use of her office in the administrative wing of the college due to high levels of mold found in the building. Liebert Willett has therefore been forced to operate out of a container on the institution's campus. On Wednesday, 28 February, the Department of Health ordered the entire staff occupying the administration building on the main campus to evacuate the quarters. The offices were then closed. Sources close to SKN News Now have revealed that the areas most affected are the offices of the dean, the receptionist, the information technology manager, the webmaster, and the guidance counselor. In October 2017, a section of CFBC's Division of Technical Vocational Education and Management Studies Department, located on Hosfords Road, was deemed unfit for habitation by the Department of Health and closed. The issue of mold and other health-threatening matters were identified since last year at the college's main campus. In February 2017, the CFBC Board of Governors said the board and the administration were made aware of a foul odor in the administrative office and staff room which appeared to be affecting some persons. The statement was issued after the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party parliamentarian representative for St. Christopher III, West Bastille, Honorable Conris Maynard, informed the nation that a serious mold problem existed at the CFBC. The board in its statement said it had approved several measures to identify and effectively address the source of these environmental issues. These measures include, but are not limited to, air quality testing, and investigations currently being undertaken by the Ministry of Health and the Bureau of Standards, as well as the temporary relocation of the persons from the affected areas. Meanwhile, the staff of yet another government agency is being affected by environment health threats. The CCTV division within the Charlestown Police Station has reportedly been abandoned due to the infestation of mold. For months, employees have registered complaints about the conditions of their workspace. A decision was subsequently taken to send staff home after conditions worsened, with some people falling terribly ill. The Nevis Island administration is currently looking into the matter. The Charlestown Police Station CCTV division now joins several government-operated premises on St. Kitts, including the Department of Labour and the Ministry of Tourism on Port Zante, where similar issues have been identified. A 3-day Impacts Justice workshop being hosted specifically for the Royal St. Christopher and Nevis Police Force concluded on Wednesday at the Police Training Complex. Starting on Monday this week, 34 police officers from various departments covered topics including report writing, interviewing and interrogation techniques, and the law of evidence. The facilitators were drawn from Bar Consulting, which specializes in crime and security management, law enforcement, criminal justice, criminology, modern penal thought, and penal practice. One of the facilitators, Bertie Hines, is the founder and managing director of Bar Consulting. Mr. Hines has served as the Deputy Director of the Regional Security System, RSS, from 2014 to 2016 and is retired Deputy Commissioner of Police of the Royal Barbados Police Force. The second facilitator is Tyrone Sargent, who retired from the Royal Barbados Police Force as a Senior Superintendent of Police and Divisional Commander. Addressing the timelessness of the training, retired Deputy Commissioner Hines said that all levels of Caribbean society there is great concern about the state of crime and criminality, and went on to note that good investigating knows how to lead to success in finding and prosecuting criminal perpetrators. Commissioner of Police Ian Quilly spoke of the significance of having a high detection rate and added that it is an effective means of deterring crime. The workshop was funded by the Improved Access Justice in the Caribbean, which is a 5-year regional justice sector reform project funded by the Government of Canada and was implemented from within the Caribbean Law Institute Center Facility of Law, the University of the West Indies, Cave Hills campus. Stay tuned with us. SKN News Now continues in just a moment with today's top international developments. Amnesty International says Egypt's army is using banned cluster bombs in its ongoing military operation in North Sinai. The human rights group made the accusation after analyzing Egyptian military video. Imran Khan reports.
This is Egyptian military video. The army says it shows improvised explosive devices planted by what it calls terrorist elements. Human rights group Amnesty International says one of the shots is a cluster bomb, which could only have been dropped by the Egyptian Air Force. The munition serial number, circled here, appears to confirm Amnesty's claim.
They've done it before. Just earlier in the month, an Egyptian military officer posted to his Twitter account what we indicated another U.S.-type cluster munition being used loaded onto an Egyptian plane, and a plane that had Egyptian Air Force flags on it. So they seem to be quite proud of this.
It's not clear why the Egyptian military would release such a video. The use of cluster bombs, if confirmed, would violate an international treaty banning their use. It may also violate a United States law regarding recipients of US military aid like Egypt.
These cluster bombs are so dangerous and so deadly because they're indiscriminate. They cannot be used with precision. They excel in harming, maiming, and killing civilians.
Egypt has not signed the treaty banning cluster munitions. The United States has not signed the treaty either. The Egyptian military has been fighting armed groups in the northern Sinai since 2013. Hundreds of Egyptian security officers have been killed there since the military deposed the country's first democratically elected leader, Mohamed Morsi. Despite several military campaigns, Egyptian authorities have failed to regain full control over the Sinai. According to state media, the military's latest operation, which began on February 9th, has killed at least 82 fighters and imprisoned more than 1,800.
The UN says it has seen an increase in the number of Venezuelans leaving their country over the past 2 weeks to escape the severe economic crisis. Many are going to Brazil, which has now declared an emergency because of the influx. Gabriel Elizondo met one family as they crossed into Brazil.
A Venezuelan mother and son. On a remote highway they hope leads them to a better life. Milady Vasquez, 46 years old, and her 22-year-old son, Kenna Ruiz. They crossed the border into Brazil and are now trying to reach Boa Vista, the nearest city. It is 180 kilometers away. They cannot afford a bus ticket, so for the past 3 days, they have been walking and still have 160 kilometers to go.
It was a hard choice to make. When they told us it was so far away, we were surprised, but we said, let's do it. God will help us.
The trip is remote. There are no services around them, only asphalt, and it's dangerous. As they walk, the mother tells me she's sad it's come to this, but hopeful Brazil will be a place they can find work. In the meantime, Kenner collects aluminum cans he hopes he can then sell. They're just two of an estimated 1,000 Venezuelans who in the past couple weeks have gathered along the northern Brazil border outpost to come into the country. They want to avoid what they say is a lack of food, medicine, and good jobs in their homeland. As the situation deteriorates in Venezuela, more are coming every day.
These Venezuelans are desperate. Most arrive with little or no money. So when they finally cross the border into Brazil, they're faced with a very difficult decision. What to do next?
We're going to try and find a bus to take us to Boa Vista to get resident status and then find a job and hopefully a place to stay.
I have a career, but I don't care now if I have to clean bathrooms or mop the floors. I'll do whatever it takes to survive.
The United Nations has a team here and says the nearly 2 million Venezuelans that have fled the country in the past 2 years are refugees.
This is thousands of people who are crossing every day the border in seek of international protection and humanitarian assistance. This is definitely a major crisis.
As for Milady and Kenner, there is no time to wait. They keep walking, one foot in front of the other, mother and son, alone, hoping the road ends in a better place.
Still to come this evening, sport, the weather, and the Carib updates. The world of sport is now familiar with the risk of long-term damage caused by repeated head trauma, as highlighted by American football players and professional boxers, but there is more vulnerable groups of athletes suffering similar injuries. Thailand's child boxers. Scott Heidler reports.
At 13, Pasawat Ratanakot wants to be just like his dad, a Thai kickboxing champion. He says it's in his blood. The pride of Muay Thai skills, the national sport here, is instilled in Thais at a very early age. At this training gym just outside Bangkok, they start at 9, and that has raised concerns about brain injuries.
I was knocked out once. I passed out for a bit when I hit the floor. When I regained consciousness, I felt a bit dizzy.
His father also started boxing at 9, then became a champion at 17.
When I was a boxer, of course I was knocked out, but I think it's about training. It's like a shield to protect ourselves.
But that's not nearly enough protection, according to a recent medical study. Brain scans or MRIs were taken of 500 children under 15 years old from similar social economic backgrounds. It lasted 5 years, included non-boxers, and incorporated psychological testing.
This is the first complete MRI study of the traumatic brain injury in child boxer.
She says it's all about the damage of repeated minor brain trauma from blows to the head.
Because of the damage, stop the maturation, the further maturation of some function of the brain. Cognitive function, the memory or the judgment, the higher brain function is not well developed yet. And when it got damaged, it's very difficult for them to further develop.
And that includes memory loss and lower IQ.
And this is where the young boxers hope all that hard work and training will lead them. For the lucky ones like Pasawat, it's to a big match venue like this one here at Bangkok's Lumpini Arena.
Big bouts are exciting for boxers like Pasawat, but with the increased intensity, they are also more dangerous than sparring. Since Muay Thai is part of Thai culture, an outright ban for young boxers is not realistic. The government body that oversees boxing has read the medical study.
We are figuring out the way to solve the problem. The law should be amended for maximum young boxer safety, but the enforcement of the law is our weakness.
With an estimated 100,000 child boxers in Thailand, many of them unregistered, even once the law is changed, protecting the boxers will be difficult. And that could mean more head injuries. As the study found out, the longer they fight, the more severe the damage.
And now for a look at this evening's weather forecast. Unfortunately, we are unable to give you this evening's weather. Well, that ends tonight's edition of the SKN News Now. For a recap of our top stories. Nationally, a suspected double homicide has plunged a Keys family into mourning. Internationally, Egypt's army is using banned cluster bombs in Sinai. And in sport, debate is raging over the dangers of child boxing. I have been your presenter, Kinney James. Stay tuned. Carib Update is up next.